I always want projects until I have projects. So that I go, what happened to all my free time? And then when I have free time, I go, I'm not doing any of my projects. I'm a worthless human being.
I have come on a mission of gravest consequence. For I am the Watcher, member of an ancient race far older than man. But though our power is great, we are pledged only to watch, never to interfere. But now mankind faces the greatest danger it has ever known. The danger of
the Watchers of Earth. 199,999.
Welcome to the Watchers of Earth 199,999. I am your host, Andrew, and joining me, as always, is my co-host, Seth.
What's up?
Our third co-host, Joe, couldn't be here today because he's stuck in a Russian gulag, and our fourth co-host, Uatu, is here, but is sworn only to watch and never interfere.
So today we watched Black Widow, which originally premiered... This isn't in like a nice spot.
It originally premiered, the world premiere was June 29th, 2021.
Natasha Romanoff confronts the darker parts of her ledger when a dangerous conspiracy with ties to her past arises. So Andrew, in a sentence or less, what did you think?
I really liked this the first time I saw it, which is kind of pointless to even say anymore. I guess I didn't even like Endgame the first time I saw it, or Infinity War the first time I saw it. Anyway, I really liked this the first time I saw it. Watching it again now, I still like it. I think it's one of the better Marvel movies, but I don't know exactly what fascinated me so much the first time, other than I think it is a little different for a decent amount of its runtime. And as far as runtimes go, and with Marvel movies, it's not horribly long. It's way longer than it needs to be, but it's not like another 3-hour nut fest. So it's fine. I liked it. Seth, how much did you hate it?
I will say that not much. I thought it was good. I had one of those like crises. I don't know if you ever get this where you're like watching a movie and you're just like, I'm not enjoying this.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's on me, and like I think the movie's good. You know what I mean?
I kept kind of tuning out, and I think some of it is the obligation of watching it, not because I want to, but because we're doing this. And I think some of it is also just like, because we're doing this and we've really been getting into these Marvel movies, they all start to drag after a bit. So I kept kind of like tuning out a little bit. But I mean, as far as a spy movie goes, like I saw No Time to Die with my father 2 weeks ago, whenever the hell it came out. This is a better movie than that.
Boom. Got him, Daniel Craig.
That movie is so long and so dumb. And the best action scene is at the very beginning, and it's all downhill from there. But like, I thought this was good. It's just, honestly, it's mostly the third act that really falls apart, and a bit in the middle, but...
I think it mainly falls apart for me in the bit in the middle. But do you want to jump in? I don't know if I have anything like up front that I really have, so...
All right, let's jump in.
I will say that I liked the intro to this.
The opening scene or the intro song?
The opening scene. Not the like cover of, I can't think of it now, but that didn't do it for me. But I don't know. I didn't mind the opening scene in Ohio. When it started, I was kind of and it was one of those things where I don't know if it's just a Marvel thing or a movie thing, but it kind of telegraphed itself a little bit too much when they're like both upside down. And I was like, oh, I better remember this because this is definitely for shit. Like, this is a Chekhov's gun if I ever saw one. But
I don't like that the whistle doesn't matter.
Oh, yeah.
They do that weird whistle at the beginning. And as far as I recall, it never ever happens again until the end of the movie and then during the end credits thing.
Yeah. But I was like, when Alexei picks up the car so that picks up whatever so that the plane can get out. Mm-hmm. I was like, okay, I'll take it. Like, it reminded me, I thought of Logan a lot during this, where this felt the least like, as much as it name dropped a bunch of stuff, this felt the least like a Marvel movie and more like a spy movie with superheroes in it.
I agree.
Like they could have had Captain Freedom instead of Captain America, and it could have all been not copyrighted names and not part of the Marvel universe, and I think it would have still held on its own.
I agree with that, but I think the Marvelness is kind of what makes this movie fall apart for me. Fall apart is strong. But like, even at the beginning, I felt like the first time watching it, I think it was fine. And I think most of this is watching it on a rewatch, and everything feels longer on a rewatch, especially a recent one, because I saw this when it came out.
I was going to say, it doesn't help. You mentioned before that we watch it off of obligation, not off of genuine interest, and now we are getting into things that, again, like you said, this isn't something that you're like, I liked it the first time I watched it 5 years ago. It's literally, I liked it the first time I watched it 4 months
back
ago.
In July. Yeah, like, I'm sure all of it's fine, but for me, watching it, when they get in the car and then they drive out and the police show up or whatever, when they get to the plane and then there's like people shooting, and I was just like, this feels like it's going on forever. And looking back on it, I don't think that scene's longer, like that bit with the action, you know, with Alexei or whatever hanging on the wing.
He's hanging on the wing.
And all that, like, that can't be more than like maybe 5 minutes. Probably not even that. It's probably like a 3-minute little action.
I'm the bad
beat.
one who can't, I have no concept of estimating time.
But like, it felt like forever for me, especially because it doesn't matter. It's just to have it. They could have literally driven off, gotten on a plane, and the cops like show up just as they're flying off, and maybe the cops fire like 2 bullets.
Yes, it is just an intro action scene.
And for that, like, it really dragged for me. And that's how I felt like a lot of things. To jump ahead, I hate that prison break. That is the lowest part of the movie for me.
At the end?
At the beginning, or at the middle, when they break out Alexei, and it is just...
Oh, yeah.
There's the prison riot, and then the avalanche, and Natasha, superhero for children, jumps out of a helicopter and murders a bunch of guys just doing their 9 to 5. And it just like keeps going and going and going. And it's all just because they need to get Alexei. He didn't even, like, the plot doesn't even care that he's in a prison outside of it's like he was betrayed by the guy in charge. Like, that doesn't really matter. He could have been living in a hut somewhere, and they still could have been like, he betrayed me. He promised me great things. And even if he was in a prison, they could have just like snuck him out of prison in a cool spy thing. But instead, it's a big action thing with a helicopter and guns everywhere, and it goes on for what feels like 4 years.
Yeah, I guess I say that it feels like a spy movie with superheroes in it. And I mean, it's more like a Mission Impossible. Like, I don't know. I haven't watched a Mission Impossible in forever. And I just assume like the
with
later
the Mission
ones
Impossible movies, some of it I think is also like there's a lot of practical stunt work going on in there. But like, I don't know, the action scenes in again, watching it only once, because I hated this prison scene the first time through too. But I liked a lot of this a little more the first time through. I didn't mind the ending so much the first time through. I really hated it this time.
But I only compare it to Mission Impossible, not as like action scene to action scene or anything, but like it's not like it's, I don't know, there's like spy movies don't exist anymore because spy movies need to have like, I mean, granted I haven't watched spy movies, so I'm talking out of my ass, but like
I think you're right in that like spy movies are just like a subgenre of action movie now. If you want a spy movie, you want a heist movie. Like
a modern spy movie, from what I understand, is just like a regular action movie, except at some point somebody talks on like a shoe phone.
Yeah.
Like there's no spy stuff. It's just kind of like we call ourselves spies, but it's just the plot of Die Hard. And instead of a cop, there's a spy.
Point where somewhere we sneak somewhere. You know, there's somewhere where we go somewhere where the bad guys don't know we're there, but then it turns into a big shootout.
Yeah.
Like I said, the modern spy movie is not really so much a spy movie as like the heist movie, you know, where someone's sneaking in and doing something stealthily. And I would say, like, in all honesty, the Mission Impossible movies are still spy movies because there's a lot of spy stuff. And
I just know how much Tom Cruise likes his stunts.
I don't remember how much gunplay there is. It's usually just like stunts where there's like a thing where he's like hanging off of something doing a spy thing.
And I haven't seen
just like go take an elevator. He has to climb up the side of the fucking building because Tom Cruise has like he has like a death wish or something.
But anyway, so I do want to say that while we're talking about all these action scenes and set pieces, I think up until so I did like the opening scene and I didn't even mind the opening action scene. It was a little over the top, hanging onto the wing of the plane and stuff, but he was like a super strong guy. There was like some weird things here and there, but I thought it was fine. But I think up until she fights her sister, it feels like a demo reel. Like Scarlett Johansson like shows this as like, these are the action scenes I can do. It felt like Ong Bak, where it
I
was
do think there's a lot of good action in this movie.
But it felt so, and maybe this is just me getting back to how I view fight scenes, where I'm, especially these, I mean, I think they're they're well choreographed, but it's kind of everybody flipping around in dark suits and dark rooms. And so I got lost. And then But I mean, we kind of just go from action set piece to action set piece without really any context. Because we see Scarlett Johansson do a lot of like flipping around karate combat, martial arts combat. And then we go to the thing where they have to drive there's like Taskmasters in the tank. And it's just like blowing up a billion cars.
Yeah.
And that goes on forever. That's the fight scene that I was kind of done. Which is unfortunately like the third one in the movie.
I didn't mind that chase bit. I mean, I think there's a lot of like fun action in the movie, but I also think like this is the most where we had talked about during Falcon and Winter Soldier how like the super soldier serum doesn't fucking matter because anybody can do anything. And in this, like, I know she's a super spy, but she's like, Taskmaster like blows up a car and it rolls around, and then the second time when Taskmaster is in that tank, she blows up a car and they like flip backwards onto the tank upside down, and then they like get slammed off and roll down into a subway station, and then they just like crawl out. And like, I know that her sister has like her arms bleeding or whatever, but like Natasha falls off of a building and just like hits 17 things on the way down, and then she just like lands doing that 3-point landing thing, and she's fine. Same thing with at the end, they're all falling out of the sky. I know there's a bunch of points where they like land on something and they just consider that fine, and then they like jump off of that thing, or like right before she and Taskmaster hit the ground, Taskmaster opens up a parachute. But that's just like, I don't know, everybody feels superhuman.
I can hand wave that.
I have been noticing it more and more, and throughout this I was really just like, nothing seems to matter. Like, there's plot armor, and I get that, but I have like lost my suspension of disbelief that characters could be hurt. She's never hurt. She's like, the closest Black Widow in this movie is ever harmed is when she hurts herself to break her nose. Beyond that, like, she's just got like a couple scrapes, or like you said in other things, like just black soot all over. Nobody's really wounded. It's just kind of,
that's fair. I can
facilitate action scenes.
I can hand wave like the superhumanness, but I do agree that there's no stakes because.
And also, like, for a Black Widow movie, I think she is the least... like, Black Widow is the most interesting Avenger when she's in other stuff. When she's in her own movie, she's the least interesting character. I think her sister and her father, and her family as a unit, but I don't think her mother's really in the movie very much. And when she is, she's just kind of there to just kind of explain plot things. But I think her sister and her father are way more interesting than she is in this movie. And that's mostly because she doesn't really do anything. Like, she does a lot of the action stuff, which is what we like about her in the other things, but like, kind of so do they.
I don't know if I agree, but I don't necessarily think I disagree. I think everybody's I think the most interesting character in the movie is the family unit, and I don't. But
she doesn't feel like she's a part of the family unit. Like, all the family stuff, like the good emotional beats that I like are like Yelena and Alexei talking in the bedroom, or like when they sing the song, or there's a bunch of moments between everybody without her until the very end when she's just like, oh, I guess you guys are my family. I love you, sister. I'm going to say it in Russian. And then they do the dumb whistle.
But I also think it helps that she is not quite a part of the family during the movie. Like, she had, like, I mean, I guess she can have the same role. She can have the same role as her sister, and everyone's just like, oh, I'm so glad you brought us to Ohio. But then what's that accomplish?
No, I agree. And I think on paper, it's interesting to have her, like, she's the outlier that is like, who is like resisting this family thing. But in the end, like, I don't know, Yelena's the only one who really seems to care about the family. Alexei is like this weird cares and doesn't care sort of thing. The mom is just there. And it just feels weird that, like, for a movie with her at the center, the movie's not really about her. She's there for the action scenes. She's there, like, throughout the movie. It's just, like, I don't know why. Bullet pointed, I could tell you, like, she's the main character of the movie. The movie follows her. It's about, you know, her story with her family. She's at the center of all the action scenes. She gets to fight the big bad at the end. She does everything, but she doesn't feel like the main character of her movie. She just feels like the bad version of Mad Max, Fury Road, where Max is technically the main character of the movie. He's the title character. He's there at the center of everything, but it's not his story. He's just there to facilitate a story. But in this, it is her story. She just doesn't feel like participating in it for the longest time. Outside of like the broad plot of taking down the Red Room.
I guess I kind of disagree.
And I can see why you do, because when I say stuff like that, I hear myself and I go, I disagree, but I also don't. Like, I don't think
I see what you're saying, but I don't
think she's interesting in this movie. She doesn't do anything. She does a ton of things, but she doesn't do anything.
I guess my whole thing with kind of what you're saying where, she's not that interesting, I don't necessarily disagree with that. And like I said, I think the most interesting character is the family unit, because honestly, I don't think her sister's all that interesting on her own either. Her sister's interesting because of the relationships and the interactions she has with Natasha and her mom and her dad. And like same thing with everybody else. Like
I think her dad is a fun character just because he's like the goofy comic relief character that I normally hate, and a lot of his stuff is kind of like whatever to me, but I do think he's kind of fun to watch.
But again, he doesn't really have any, like, his interactions are what make him interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But I agree that, I mean, if everybody else, if one of them was on their own, then he at least had like one-liners, and he was fun. Like, he was a fun character with fun acting. Whereas Scarlett Johansson and her sister kind of feel like the same character. The mom kind of feels like the same character, just more diluted and boring. But I don't necessarily think anybody's all that interesting on their own.
I agree. Since we're just kind of like talking broad strokes and characters, what are your thoughts on Taskmaster? Actually, first question, did you know who Taskmaster was? And if so, when did you figure it out? Or were you fooled?
I mean, I guess I don't like you saying I was fooled.
Sorry, were you...
I mean, bamboozled might be more appropriate. No, I'm not sure, like...
Did you...
I mean, maybe I was fooled, but it seems like...
No, you're right. Fooled is mean.
Fooled implies that I'm stupid.
Let me ask this. Did you know who the Taskmaster was going to be under that helmet? Before the helmet was taken off?
I don't think so. I mean, maybe it was one of those things where, like, I called it like a split second or so before, like, I kind of put all the pieces together, and then at the time they showed me. I don't think, I mean, granted, I don't think they could have done it with anybody, but it's not like they revealed the face and I was like, no way.
So...
I know, you knew it, like, as soon as she blew up the sister, you're like, that's her.
As soon as she blew up the daughter, I knew that was Taskmaster.
Because that's how you are. You're just...
But that's also just like when they show a character...
You can't have any fun during movies.
When they show a character in a helmet,
can't you just
and they,
watch
like,
movies,
obscure
Andrew?
their face. When they obscure a character's face like that, I'm like, okay, it's someone we know. And the only candidates really were the guy that doesn't matter, her friend that like supplies stuff, who I felt like was a red herring, but I knew it wasn't him because it just wouldn't be. I thought the daughter was so obvious that I thought it might be her mother. Up until I had like maybe a 10% thought that it might be the mother, up until Taskmaster shows up standing in front of her mother at the house. Well, in front of Natasha posing as her mother. But it was kind of it was one of those things that when they reveal it, I was just like, yeah, I get it. We get it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like, I never once thought it was her supplier friend, but I think that also goes hand in hand.
I was just trying to figure out what his point was in the movie, and I figured he was a red herring for the Taskmaster, because I figured when they do stuff like that, I figure most people just go like, okay, this, when the helmet comes off, it's a reveal. Who could it possibly be? And the list of options is so limited that I felt like he was there just to be like, when people are like, I wonder who the Taskmaster could be, like, well, the only other character we know is this guy. Must be him.
So, I guess, so we complain that people just watch movies.
And in this one, you just watched a movie, and now I'm
maybe
being the jerk calling you out.
And maybe I just watched a movie, but like, I don't know, like, especially like the terminology of like, were you fooled? Like red herring? Like,
fooled was...
No, I mean...
was a little rude.
No, I'm not even saying like, whatever you would have said, I would have the same point to make here. But like, I guess I just didn't go into the Black Widow movie as like, this movie is just a great mystery about who Taskmaster is. Like,
there is no mystery about Taskmaster. That's what I'm saying is the movie doesn't present a mystery. I'm just saying, like, when they show a character that, especially when they show points, like, they show her putting the helmet on, or maybe it's just when she's sitting there and they put the chip in her brain. But it was just something that's like, if they don't show it, if a character does not speak and they wear a mask, 99% of the time they're going to take that mask off and it's going to be revealed to be someone. Not always. But probably. Especially in like a spy thriller movie like this.
See, I guess at no point did I ever really care who was Taskmaster. Like, the movie just didn't...
Taskmaster's not really a character in this movie. For the main big supervillain of the movie, they are a non-entity almost entirely.
Like, I would say that in Winter Soldier, the Winter Soldier's identity matters and is like a reveal. But I would not say Taskmaster's identity is a reveal.
See, but I would say the difference with Winter Soldier is the Winter Soldier's identity reveal, while it is a reveal, I think the character in that is just another supervillain. And I don't know why this makes it, maybe it's because I already knew who he was, but with that, it's not like he's obscuring enough of his face that I could be like, is Anthony Mackie actually the Winter Soldier? There's not like other candidates. It's just the Winter Soldier is a soldier for hire. He wears a mask because he's a super assassin, and he's concealing his identity because
why
that's
doesn't
what assassins
Natasha
do.
wear a mask if she's a super assassin?
She's not a super assassin. She's a super spy. It's different.
Oh,
I also think Taskmaster, kind of like I said with Sylvie, well, not really like how I said with Sylvie, because Sylvie's different, but I feel like Taskmaster in this is a wasted opportunity. I don't care that Taskmaster isn't Tony Masters. I don't give a shit. I don't care. My thing is just like Taskmaster, I think has a really cool, fun movie, a really cool set of powers and abilities that are good for these types of movies, and they do fucking nothing with it. They introduce him watching a video of Hawkeye. Never once does she fire a bow. Not unless I'm misremembering. Never once does she Actually, I think you're right. She shoots a bow from the tank. So I take that back.
you want to just start over?
Yeah, you know what? Taskmaster's great.
2, 1.
But still,
I agree. It's
especially like I think Taskmaster is a great villain if we didn't go so big with the Avengers movies from the start. I think Taskmaster is a great villain for an Avengers movie. That way you get to see him or her use their abilities against every Avenger. As someone who is like perfectly equipped to take on anybody, they don't do anything. Like she uses kitty cat claws and a bow and a shield and a sword that isn't taken from anyone, which is fine because the Taskmaster has a sword, but also just like when their whole thing is like they can mimic anyone's moves, and then they show that they even have like items for other characters, and then they pull out a sword, which no one in the Marvel Universe has ever wielded. Does it matter? No. Am I complaining?
Heimdall.
I guess. Oh, you're right. She watched Heimdall, obviously.
I don't like how she referred to Thor as a space god, but that goes against my thing where I don't like how Asgard is like a space planet.
As opposed to an Earth planet.
A planet in general. I agree that, I mean, Taskmaster's boring and is a missed opportunity. And again, I think that goes hand in hand with me not caring about the reveal and that it's the daughter. I think at the beginning, when he does put the little thing in the back of her helmet, I was like, they really made Taskmaster a robot, man? Like, that's dumb.
I think the change from having like a super memory to just like a
You have to upload
digital thing, I think that's fine.
TIFF
Like, I
files.
don't care. It's fine. It accomplishes the same thing either way. I think it's boring when we see like the HUD, but I think that first fight against Natasha is fun. Like you get to see, you know, different things using the shield, using the sword, flipping around, perfect mirroring Natasha. But part of it is like, I like Taskmaster. I like Taskmaster a lot. He's fun. He's kind of not really Deadpool, but he's kind of like quippy and jokey and kind of stupid, but like perfectly capable. And I think he'd be a really fun fit for the Marvel Universe where everybody's fucking quipping all the time. And instead they take a fun, quippy character and turn them into, like you said, a robot. Just a silent robot.
That's how you know he's badass.
It's boring. I think the character could have been a lot more fun in a completely different movie where we got to really see how they counter different characters and utilize a bunch of different weapons and abilities. Like I said, I don't like the HUD. I think the costume looks better in action than it did in the stills when they first revealed it. But also, like, I get it. It's the Marvel Universe. They're never going to put someone in a goofy Halloween skull. But also, like, he has a goofy Halloween skull. It's great. I love it. And they don't do it. So that's kind of disappointing. But I don't know. It felt like a missed opportunity. I don't care that it's Antonio instead of Tony. It doesn't matter. It's perfectly fine. I don't care that they wear like a high-tech cyber suit. Doesn't matter. It's the Marvel Universe. It's perfectly fine. I don't care that it's a digital version of their powers downloaded into their brain instead of just having photographic memory. Again, it's the Marvel Universe. Everything's got to be over-explained.
That's how the character is. I mean, I don't even think it was over-explained. And it's just, all that stuff is so minor.
I think everything has to be explained. In the Marvel Universe, you can't have stuff just happen. Everything has to be explained.
I mean, I don't really feel like they explained, like...
By explained, I don't mean they sat us down and held our hand. I mean that there is an answer for everything. They can't just say, this person has a super memory and can mimic anything. Because there's going to be people in the audience who go, I don't understand, how can they do that? But if you say, it's a digital thing, they download it into their brain, they're a robot. They go, oh, I'm a dumb popcorn munching moron, I get that. Download thoughts in a brain with a microchip.
I think it's ultimately the same thing.
In the end, like, yes, it is, but I also feel like there's something where one thing is stupid and the other one is explained.
I think it explains
And
both.
super
If you had a
memory-
line, what's the difference between, hey, I just finished uploading I put the thing in and he watched a video of Civil War, or somebody had a off-screen dialogue of, that guy has photographic memory and he can mirror all the moves. It's the same thing.
I feel like that one is too confusing for people, for a general audience. I genuinely do. But I have talked with these people, Seth. These people don't understand anything. My dad
I guess we're
watched
arguing two
Avengers
different points.
and couldn't understand how Captain America didn't break his hand when he punched the metal aliens.
I guess we're arguing two different points, because I was arguing the idea that it's over-explained, and I think it's the same explained.
What I'm saying is it's not over-explained so much as it...
You don't like the explanation.
No. I'm trying to figure out how to say this in a way that isn't the words that I've already used. Because I knew as soon as I said it, that was going to be your point of contention, and that's not what I'm saying.
Then don't say it!
No. I'm just saying... I don't know how to explain this. It's not over-explained as if it's like... I don't know. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's the same thing with like the difference between... I guess over-explained is not the right way to say it. It's the same thing with like in Spider-Man, in the first Spider-Man movie, or in Civil War, they can't have Peter just have eyes that move. They can't just say like Tony designed a suit and it has eyes that move for whatever fucking reason. Who cares? It's a fucking comic book movie. Instead, he has to say like, when my powers go off, my senses are overloaded and it's too much information, so I have to filter them out. So I made these goggles. And that's the explanation for how they can have the fun animated eyes that we've always wanted in movies, but they need to explain why we have that. And that's what I feel this is. There's a certain level of just saying like they have a photographic memory and can copy anything, and there's going to be someone who goes, that doesn't make sense, that can't really happen. Whereas when you go, it's a sci-fi movie and it's a sci-fi thing downloaded into their brain so that they can do the super thing, then people just go, yep, I guess it's a sci-fi movie and the sci-fi explanation for the sci-fi stuff works. And I understand that, like, I probably didn't explain it any better now than I did before.
A little bit.
But it is just something that, when it happens in these things, there's always explanations for things where I just go, you didn't need to do that. You didn't need to over-explain that. It's... I mean,
like you're telling this to the guy
It's the same thing as in Batman Begins, when they are like, he wears the bat ears because it has a receiver in the ears so that he can radio in on conversations. And he has the bat cape because it lets him glide, not because it makes him look like a fucking bat, because that's stupid. They all have to have practical explanations for everything. And that's what this feels like to me. It's a practical explanation for something that could have very easily, like you said, it's no more explaining it to just say they have a photographic memory, they got the power to do whatever. But this is also a series of movies where every single superpower has to be explained. Wanda can't just do magic. They have to explain how she does magic.
I mean, you're preaching to the guy who has gone on record multiple times saying that we don't need origin movies. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't care enough, I guess, for something this small. I see what you're saying now. I mean, I don't disagree with it like I did with just using the wrong words. I just don't have... I don't need to die on this hill.
Me defending my word choice before has now turned me into making an argument instead of a statement, but...
No, I mean, I'm just saying, like, I'm ready to move on.
We can move on.
I have nothing to contribute, because I don't care. Taskmaster sucks in this movie. Missed opportunity.
Like I said, I think the first fight with Natasha on the road or the bridge or whatever, I think there's fun stuff in it. It's fine.
I don't know.
I honestly don't really remember it, but I remember it being fun.
Like, the fight's so fun, I remembered
No,
none.
but I just mean, like, I remember individual moments. Like, there's shield flinging and she, like, flips off a crap and...
Yeah, okay. Which scene in the movie does he throw the shield, and which scene in the movie does she flip off a crap?
I'm just saying there's fun enough stuff in that. I think that's a fine enough fight scene in one of these Marvel movies.
It doesn't help me that it comes right before...
You love the fucking opening scene where there's a million people shooting at a plane that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Defend that choice.
Okay, it's like a little more exciting because there's stakes because they need to escape from the thing.
You're right. There are stakes in that, whereas in the Taskmaster fight, there are no stakes because we don't yet know what's going on, and also
there's no context.
We all know we also know that Black Widow will never ever die.
Oh, speaking a little too soon, huh?
We know that Black Widow will never ever die in this movie because it takes place before her death in another movie. We canonically know she lives through this one. There's no threat.
We at least, like, as much as we don't have context in the opening scene, we have more context than in this Taskmaster fight and chase. Like, we don't know why... I mean, we don't know why they're being chased in the opening scene, but we know that, like, something is up and that the stakes are high and that they need to escape. But in the Taskmaster thing, it's just like, Taskmaster hate Black Widow.
No, in this one we know that Taskmaster is after the
stupid red smoke
thing that was sent to her, that she, as a spy, goes like, look at all these documents that were put in my safe house. Guess I don't care about any of these, including the little mini briefcase
I'm not even gonna
that
shred
was sent
them
to me.
I'm just gonna throw them out loose.
I think there's enough stakes there that we know that Taskmaster is probably after that thing, if not after her. And in that case, like, we don't know why they're after the family at the beginning, but we would know that they're after her because she's either an Avenger or from the Red Room. I think there is exactly as much context in that Taskmaster fight as there is in the opening scene.
I
But
guess I don't.
I guess I don't care enough to die on this hill.
And that's on me that I don't care enough about all the Taskmaster stuff. And it's a lot of just blind action. I don't quite remember the order, but it also doesn't help that I turn my brain off when Ross enters the room and anybody says Sokovia Accords. I'm just like, does anybody ever actually care about the Sokovia Accords? Like, I know it's like,
they don't exist. Like, they exist for one movie and one movie only. I guess
Yeah.
2 movies, because they exist for this one as a reason why she has to do a movie solo.
but it's something that, like, maybe if they let it, like everything, breathe a little bit more. But I guess they say Sokovia Accords a lot, and it's always like this big thing about, like, we can't go back, like, we're on the run. And I'm just like, are you though? Does any of this matter?
They don't matter outside of... They matter in Civil War, because that's when they're introduced. They matter in Infinity War, because that's... But they don't actually matter. That's just why Captain America's around at the beginning. But then he shows up, and as soon as he shows up, they immediately don't matter anymore. I guess they matter as the reason why Scott's under house arrest, but they don't actually matter in any way that is relevant to anything. He could have been under house arrest just for
committing
stopping
crimes
on a plane. Yeah. So, like, they don't matter, but they do throw them around a lot. And it is something like you said, like, nothing gets to breathe in this. The Sokovia Accords happen, and then we don't really get any movies that matter. Because, like I said, I think we should have gotten the fun movie where Black Widow breaks everyone out of the prison, which could potentially be Black Widow 2. But, well, we're never going to get a Black Widow 2 now because Scarlett Johansson sued Marvel, and Marvel and Disney have so much money that she'll never win. And
I thought they came to an agreement or something.
Maybe they did. The
I don't
last
pay
I heard,
attention.
it sounded like she was never going to appear in a Marvel thing ever again.
Good for her.
But I don't know. Nothing gets to breathe. And, like, even this, like, this is a movie that could have, like, dealt with the fallout of the Sokovia Accords too late, because it happens, like, after that we know that they don't really matter. But, like, I don't know if this had if this had been the movie that came out after Civil War, and instead of this being, like, a reason why she's on the run, instead we got, like, her and Captain America breaking everybody out of whatever the prison is called.
The
that
Raft.
I can't think of. The Raft. It'd be fun, but, like, nothing matters. The snap doesn't matter because we only get 2 movies post-snap. Actually, we get no movies post-snap, because the snap happens, and then we get Ant-Man and Wasp, which takes place before the snap, and we get...
Spider-Man.
No, that takes place after Endgame. We get Captain Marvel, which takes place before literally any of them, except for Captain America. So, like, the snap happens, and it doesn't matter, because immediately the next movie deals with it a little bit, but, like, it's all dealt with in one movie, and honestly, that movie doesn't really deal with it for longer than maybe 40 minutes of its runtime, because then they're doing time travel stuff, and then after that it's a 50-minute long CGI monstrosity.
Well, to be fair, the TV shows try to.
Again, the TV shows deal with fallout. They don't deal with living in the moment of it.
Oh.
And I guess that's what I'm saying, is like Spider-Man deals, and the TV shows don't even really deal with it so much as mention it. I guess Falcon and Winter Soldier tries to deal with it slightly, but it is barely
after.
above a mention. But there's nothing that, like, deals with in the moment. Like, even this, like, this is the Sokovia Accords after the Sokovia Accords don't matter. Granted, within this movie they matter, but the movie doesn't deal with them as they matter. And it decides to go back to the Sokovia Accords after we know they don't matter, because they don't matter now. And it's a movie that the Sokovia Accords aren't there as something that we deal with. They're just an excuse for why the other Avengers can't show up. And I guess they're slightly used at the end, but that doesn't matter, because S.H.I.E.L.D. or whatever shows up at the end, but it doesn't matter. The movie could have ended exactly where it was without all those vans driving up at the end. And I don't know. It's just frustrating. The Marvel Universe is frustrating. It's frustrating to sit through and watch everything not matter. Everything matters for its cliffhanger, not for the entirety. It's the movie version of a Netflix TV show, where each thing has to end on a little cliffhanger to get you excited for the next thing, but once the next thing happens, that cliffhanger doesn't matter anymore. We're done with it. It was only there to get you...
To just keep you on board.
Yeah, to keep you glued in your stupid seat.
That's what I complained about with Loki.
Well, yeah, Loki was nothing.
Where it's just like, nothing ever facilitates itself. Everything facilitates the next thing.
Exactly. So anyway, back to this movie. I don't know. So Natasha and her sister were raised in Ohio for 3 years for some Russian spies. Then they leave. She and her sister go to the Red Room where they are trained to be assassins. And I don't know. I don't like that this movie establishes that. I don't know if in this they call the other widows Black Widows or widows. I assume they do.
I thought they called them Black Widows, but maybe they just do call them widows.
But regardless, I feel it kind of strange that she defects to S.H.I.E.L.D. and then decides that she keeps her uniform and her name for her superhero name. I would think, like, if you're leaving all that behind, wouldn't you want to change that? Maybe, possibly?
I agree.
I do like her new costume. I like the white one, and I like the costume she wears at the end with the gold bracers. Like it's like a overworked Marvel version of it, but the classic, just like black jumpsuit with the gold bracers.
Oh, yeah.
And then the red buckle on her belt is fun. But I find it weird that we get all this backstory, and then she's like, I left this all behind. I have read on my ledger. And then it's like, but also
I embrace
it's the same thing. It's the same thing as like Falcon and Winter Soldier ending with calling it Captain America and the Winter Soldier. And it's like the only thing Bucky did in this show was assert that he's no longer the Winter Soldier and he's moved on. But we're still going to call him that, probably because that's what the comics do. And it's just, I don't know. Call him the White Wolf. You gave him a different name. Or just call him Bucky. You never have to call him the Winter Soldier again. That's stupid. He doesn't even have, like, the Soviet red star on his arm anymore. He's got a new Wakanda arm. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Her sister is on a mission to take down some spy that defected. Well, defected in that she broke free of the brainwashing because they made, like, some kind of gas that breaks you out of the mind control.
That's stupid.
That they use
you say
to keep.
You spent a lot of time talking about over explaining stuff, and they just let the gas flow.
Yes. Well, I think again the gas kind of falls into that sci-fi. Like, if we just say that they can download the memories or the
people are easier with science fiction explanations than they are with science fantasy.
Yeah, when you go, you download the fighting data into your brain. Everyone's just like, yeah, that makes sense. I know how computers work. I downloaded stuff onto my phone earlier.
I downloaded Black Widow.
Candy Crush.
Illegally.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, when they're just like, they use mind control, maybe it was like nanites or something. I don't remember exactly how the mind control works in this. I remember the Harvey Weinstein uses, like, cologne that releases a pheromone. He's that like, they smell.
Your brain won't let you hit me because I release pheromones.
Which is stupid. Like, it's fine, and it's like the perfect, like, skeevy thing for, like, the movie's making a statement, and I get that statement, and I stand by that statement, and I get it. It's like the perfect skeevy way to do mind control. But at the same time, it's stupid when she's like, oh, I already knew about this because my mommy told me, and now I'm just gonna, like, sever the nerve by slamming my face into this desk, which is like a cool, like, as far as like spy movies go, that's like the cool, like, badass, like, I'm in control and I have no fear.
What if she didn't get it on her first go?
But that's the other thing. Like, I don't know how she thought that was going to work. That's fucking bonkers. She knew about it ahead of time. So maybe before everybody shows up and takes you to the Red Room, maybe just do that ahead of time so that he can't control you at all. Like, I thought the whole thing was when they said that, and then we revealed that, like, they had this whole thing planned, and he's like, I had this pheromone. I thought she was faking it the whole time. And when he's, like, gloating at her and everything, and he's, like, punching her, and she's just like, oh, you hit like a girl, or whatever she said. Actually, I think she just says, like, you're weak. You can't even throw a punch. And she's punching him, or he's punching her and everything. I was like, this is all her just, like, winding him up so that he can, like, reveal his plan as, like, a big, like, you know, pissing contest, gloating thing. And then she's going to be like, by the way, your pheromone thing didn't fucking work because I already knew. We severed the nerve way before this. And then she was going to punch him. And it said she breaks her nose. And I was just like, I don't really know how mind control pheromones work, but I'm pretty sure that, like, they still...
They're still in your brain.
Yeah, I don't think they just, like, the second you can't smell, like, they only work as long as you can smell them. Like, the second you can't smell, like, you plug your nose, that thing ain't gonna work. Doesn't matter how much you've sucked up in there.
Yeah. She could have, instead of breaking her nose, she could have just got got some little nose plugs.
Well, also, like, instead of, like, breaking your nose, like, isn't there a thing, like, if you punch someone in the nose at the right angle, like, it can, like, go into their brain?
The nose bone?
Yeah.
I think that's what children tell each other on the schoolyard. I don't think your dad's a fucking surgeon. Ask him. Ask him if the nose bone is real.
Are you telling me... No, what we said at the schoolyard is true. That's why, like, you have to hold your breath at a graveyard, because if you start breathing, the ghosts will suck the breath out of you and come back to life.
When you get in a fight, you have to jam the bottom of your palm into the opponent's nose so that the nose bone goes into their brain. Although at the end of the movie, when she, like, I don't know, unbreaks her nose, she does the stupid thing where another schoolyard trick where you can, like, pretend that you're cracking your nose by, like, flicking your teeth.
Then it's back in there. I don't know. We're jumping all over the place.
Why did she... Yeah, I mean, I agree that... I mean, I guess it's because it's a movie. But, like, I'll take her goading him to break her nose and then be like, I gotcha. You did your own demise. But the alternative is also just like, I mean, maybe they didn't have enough time to get nose plugs or something.
She didn't goad him to break her nose, though.
Yes, she did. That she, like, specifically says, like, you didn't hit hard enough to break it, so now I have to smash my own face into your desk.
Oh, I didn't think of that was...
You're too smart. You know it's the daughter from Credits 1, but you can't even hear a
I thought that was just... I didn't think that was, like, that was my legitimate plan, was let you break my nose. I thought it was just...
Yeah,
that was another,
plan,
like, fuck you. I didn't think that was the plan. I thought that was just a fuck you. Like, you are so weak. Like, that wasn't, like, my plan was for you to break my nose. Maybe it was. Maybe, I mean, you're probably right. That makes more sense. Not real more sense, but, like, I don't know. I just took that as, like, another, like, final, like, middle finger, just like,
no, that's
so
why
weak.
Yeah, she tries
to
get
badass I am
to break her nose so that it severs the nasal passage nerve, and then she's like, you couldn't even do that right, so now I have to do it.
Well, that's super dumb.
See,
that's even dumber than just slamming her face on the desk.
Can't believe the movie fooled you.
It did. It fooled me. I was straight up bamboozled.
You know, I'm looking at this picture of Taskmaster.
Hornswoggled.
Did you say cornswaddled?
Hornswoggled.
You know, I'm looking at this picture of...
I said that like that made it more sense. Like that made more sense.
I'm looking at this picture of Taskmaster. I know we've talked about this point with Kamen Rider costumes. Mm-hmm. I mean, in a still image, and you mentioned that it's better in movement anyways, but looking at a still image right now, Taskmaster's just a fucking guy from a motocross. He's like, okay, I'm back from my race, my motocross race. Mm-hmm.
It's also one of those things where, like, he's modeled after a character who has a comical Halloween costume skull face, so that, like, we have
more
to still
comical
keep
than
the skull
than
face.
Red Skull.
We have to keep the skull face, or else it's not Taskmaster.
This is the mascot from Motorstorm.
They give him, like, the stupid, like, skull jaw thing under the visor. That also, like, it's one of those things that's like, you have to have the skull motif, so I get it, but it also makes it look even dumber than if he was just wearing a motocross helmet.
Yeah.
It's like that extra little level of, like, why even add that? Like, from a logistical within the movie's universe, why even add that detail? Like, it's not supposed to be like, ooh, I'm a spooky skeleton assassin.
Because Harvey Weinstein likes skulls.
Then give her a fucking skull helmet, dude.
Not that much. He also likes motocross.
Finally, a fusion of my three favorite things: skulls, motocross, and telling my daughter what to do.
And horse pheromones.
Anyway, she and her sister team up. They take out a Black Widow.
Can we get to the scene I hate
chase
yet?
After her, where Natasha falls on like 7 things, like she's in a fucking Tom and Jerry cartoon.
But are we still talking about when they?
Well, I want to talk about the part where the Black Widow like falls off the thing.
Which
and then
Black
she's
Widow?
all
There's
broken,
like 40 in here.
and she's like, I don't understand how the mind control works, and it doesn't matter because the movie doesn't care. But it seems to be like the mind control just makes you do whatever. But then when Harvey Weinstein is like, I'm going to push the button to make you kill yourself, even though you could kill Black Widow right now, and I don't know why I wouldn't make you do that.
Because she was going to tell the truth.
Yeah, but like she was going to shoot Black Widow. Why not just shoot her first and then shoot herself?
She is going to tell Black Widow the truth, and then if she killed her, she would know the truth in heaven. And she would tell God.
If he was so scared of God, he wouldn't put his base in space or in the sky.
He wants to get closer to God so that he can load him up with those horse pheromones.
Well, that's the thing. He did it right under God's nose, so God would smell his pheromones.
And then he'd get used to it.
Anyway, I don't know. She blows her
brains out.
Brains out, and it's stupid.
You know, I said this about the last few things.
And the other Black Widows that were chasing after them just like don't show up because we don't want them to right now, because we need to have a scene where both she and her sister stand there looking, having a big sad for a minute. And I assume they got to retrieve that body. You don't want your secret female assassins
Just
in their
bodies
full
just
body
littering.
armor just laying there.
I think a lot of the effects work is not that great.
I also agree. At the end, when her sister jams that pole into the helicopter thing,
Yes. All the
it's
explosions
like
in the
green
end.
screen. It's like close-up shots.
The
where-
whole like last 40 minutes is all green screened.
No, I agree, but like these were bad. These were like almost. It felt like they were like added in like last second.
Same thing with when they're both sharing the parachute.
Mm-hmm.
That was super green screen.
And also, like, she has that weird, like, I'm gonna die scene where it gets, like, sad, and she's like, this was fun. And I was like, oh, I guess they're gonna kill the daughter. And it's like, no, never mind.
Then she
She's
jumps
just
off.
seemingly gonna
She
jump
gets
off.
blown back about 40 feet in the air. But no, also in the scene you were talking about with when Natasha falls on a bunch of stuff and they, like, kick the chimney down or whatever, that looked bad.
Yes, I agree. I had to stop and think about what you were talking about. I remember now. Right before the scene that I kept going back to. Yeah, I agree. Like, some of the special effects are fine, but yeah, a lot of them are not great. But they decide that in order to find the Red Room, they need to find their dad, who is stuck in prison. So we have a stupid scene that I hate, where they break him out. It's also dumb that they send him a doll with an earpiece in the head, that the head pops off when you pull the string like twice or something. And I feel like the guards would have... I don't know a single human being who doesn't see something with a pull string or a button and it talks and not to just try it.
What about your dad?
You're right. My dad probably wouldn't. He doesn't like
What about your mom?
My mom definitely would.
Okay.
She would pull it over and over again and then call me and tell me, look at this thing I found. It says something in Russian. I don't know what it is. And then she would send a video to my brother and ask him to translate it as if it mattered to anybody.
What would she do with the earpiece?
Lose it immediately if her glasses and phone and Kindle are any indication.
I spent the whole movie trying to figure out who fucking Alexei is and why he looks so familiar.
Oh, he's from Stranger Things and he played Hellboy. It's David Harbour.
Yeah. No, I knew that, but it was one of those things where, like, I don't know, David Harbour's not a household name in this house, and I haven't seen Stranger Things since a long time ago.
At the beginning, when they're escaping, I was looking at the younger Yelena, and I kept thinking, she looks familiar, but I don't know where the fuck I would know any child actresses. And then I realized, oh, she's the little girl from Haunting a Hill House, which I have been watching an episode every night for the past week or whatever. But it took me a long time, and I was like, oh, it's her.
I'm
And
gonna
I had
call
to
you
like
out right
Google
here.
it to verify.
Isn't there like 9 episodes in that?
Well, when I say every night, I mean like every weeknight, and by every weeknight, I mean like maybe 3 nights out of the week.
I was gonna say,
because I watch it with a friend.
you sitting there and being like, I've been watching it every night, and I was like, you've been talking about this for like 3 weeks.
Nah, I watch it with a friend, so when she's available is when I watch it. Anyway, I don't know. They break out their dad. I hate that scene. It goes on forever. It serves no purpose.
I don't think
Other
it's
than to
too
just be
bad,
like an
but
action
then
beat.
the avalanche starts, and I'm like, I hate the whole scene now.
The avalanche is what absolutely just kills
Like,
it
if
for
it
me.
stopped
When-
before the avalanche, I'd be like, okay, that was a little much, but whatever. But the fact that, like,
it's fine. Yeah.
then the avalanche happens, and it's a whole bunch of green screen, and it's just a bunch of crap that I don't care about, and I just...
And it's just there to be exciting. It's the same thing as like, I know that you don't mind that opening scene, but it's the same thing as like the opening scene has to be, a bunch of people shooting at the plane and he has to be hanging on the wing and,
yeah.
the
Melina has to get shot in the arm, and then...
yeah, one of the
Natasha
Jeeps has to like drive into a building and flip over. It has to be like big. Everything has to be huge. It's the same thing with like their fight in the apartment between Natasha and her sister. Like, I think that scene's fun, but it kind of goes on for a long time. And it goes on for a long time because everything has to be big. When they break him out of the prison, it has to be huge. So, he has to run, he has to like climb up a wall and then fall down. And then there's prisoners everywhere and a million people fighting. And then, there's a helicopter and then there's like too many people on the thing with guns, too many guards. So Natasha has to swing down and then she kills a bunch of them by kicking them off the guardrail. And then she flips around and fights a bunch of guys. And then he finally gets up there and then they fly the thing up and then, oh no, the avalanche is coming. And then they have to wait till the last second to grab them and throw them. And it's a little much. But I will say, to its credit, after that, the movie breathes for as much as these Marvel movies breathe. This movie, I think, is not necessarily paced well, but I think this movie like knows when to stop for a little
The
bit.
family stuff, when they all get together for the first time, I thought was good.
Mhm.
I thought it was a nice, like, down to earth. I thought it was... Everybody kind of had interesting things and relationship dynamics going on.
But it's revealed that the mother alerted the Red Room to their presence, but she and Black Widow do switch the old Freaky Friday, and they pose as each other because she's got like Mission Impossible masks and wigs, and it's fine. I mean, it's fun. It's fun spy stuff. There's like a stupid bit where Alexei thinks he's talking to people on a earpiece, and then she's like, "I never gave you an earpiece." And he's like, "Oh," and I thought like she was having like a conversation with someone, and you didn't hear any of it, so you should know that you don't have an earpiece.
But he read
like,
the
this
script.
is stupid.
No, my thing is that, and that's kind of goes back to what I was saying about, like, I think it's a good movie, but I don't know if I necessarily like enjoyed it a ton. And a lot of this humor might have hit me on a different day, but like a lot of Yelena's stuff about Natasha posing and the stuff about the vest, and like you mentioned Alexei being comic relief and stuff like that, like some of them hit, but a lot of them I was just like, I don't know. There's something about humor in Marvel movies. Like, I want them to be fun and all this stuff, but they spent 30 movies not being fun in the right way, and then Guardians came out, and then just like they all were the same. And I don't think this feels the same as everybody needing to quip and be witty, but there was just something about all these pieces that were just like, it just felt weird to me.
I don't know.
And that's a weird, like I said, I think on a different day, it's fine. It was just something that I was watching it, and I was like, I just don't want this.
So I don't know. They get the Taskmaster. We reveal who the Taskmaster is. Taskmaster fights Alexei for a bit.
How about
Does
Alexei
Kitty Cat
has
claws.
Karl and Marx tattooed on his knuckles?
He's got like super strength that like does or doesn't matter. And also like I said, Captain America was supposed to be peak human physical condition, and then eventually it was just like he's got superpowers. And each time we see someone with super strength, they get more and more strong. Like Alexei like kicks open like a fucking like metal prison door, and he like jumps up the side of the prison, and I don't know. It's kind of like a weird step up from like if the super people or the normal people can do any like super things, the super people are also like heightened. Everybody is just like heightened to a degree that makes everything, I don't know, unrealistic, and my suspension of disbelief kind of disappears. Kind of like I said with like Black Widow, like I never worry that I know she's going to be fine, but like I never worry because I don't even think she's going to be harmed within the logic of the movie because no one ever is. Everyone just gets banged around and they're all fine. And it's just because, like, the normal people can do, like, flips and run up walls and fall from great distances and whatever. And so the super people also, like, do, I guess, just, like, a step above what I think they should be capable of. But I don't know. The stupid Black Widow, all the Black Widows fight Black Widow, but then she releases a thing and it frees all their brains. And then they blow up the base, and the base is falling for 20 years. And there is so much stuff happening, and it's all CGI nonsense with a bunch of like green screen. And
how about when all the Black Widows come out of their mind trance and they're like, they ask Natasha, now what? And she's like, get far away from here. And they're like, lady, this is like a floating city. Where am I going to go?
That reminds me of the other thing I meant to say. I was trying to say earlier, and then we got sidetracked. Because I don't know, my brain is just kind of like, I am like really unfocused this episode, and I can't wait to edit this and notice like how like just like out of it I am. But when that Black Widow that shoots herself at the beginning, after she like falls off that building, as she's like going to shoot herself, she keeps saying like, I don't want to do this. He's making me. And it's all for like that stupid intrigue crap for the audience. But like everything we've seen from that mind control stuff is that they are like fully just like, they're not like robots because they do like speak to each other, but they speak with like the mind of someone who has the intent to do that. Like they speak as if they're willfully doing whatever they are told to do, not like their body is being hijacked like it's Ratatouille.
Can I talk about when we have like...
You can talk about whatever.
This is the last thing I want to talk about, and then I'm going to just log off.
Okay.
I think I'm running out of things to say. But how about when for like 30 seconds in the climactic explosion fight scene when people jump and they're flying through the air and shooting at Natasha and Yelena and they have parachutes. You don't even know what I'm talking about.
I don't know what you're talking about. What are you saying to me?
Okay, do you remember in Iron Man 3 when they needed to have a thing where everybody held arms?
Oh, this is another Seth hates flight suits and skydiving.
It's so stupid. Like you have your like the people who hate Natasha run out. The whole thing's blowing up. They're like flying through the air with parachutes shooting at them. And I'm just like, I don't know. That stuff is so stupid to me. I guess everybody else likes it.
I guess I'm just indifferent to it to the point that I don't even remember this bit that you're talking about.
It's stupid. It's only 30 seconds. It's only in there because it's badass. TM.
But they blow up the base. She fights Taskmaster for a second and then sprays her with the brain stuff, and she frees her mind, and then all the Black Widows show up and they say we're all friends now, and they load her into the thing. And then the family goes with her, but Black Widow stays behind for some reason that she probably explains, but I don't remember.
She does explain.
I don't like the... What was her explanation?
She's going to fix the Avengers. She's like, I have...
Yeah, but... Okay, that's fine, but why does she stay where the Sokovia people are going to come get her? Especially because it immediately cuts to her later, and she's, like, not with them, and then she's like, I'm going to go break my friends out of prison. Why doesn't she just leave with them, and then she's just like, hey, drop me off over here, I'm going to go break my friends out of prison. Instead, she's like, I'm going to stay here so Ross can come get me? And then I'm going to apparently escape before they take me to the raft. I didn't understand, and maybe I missed something, but it seems stupid. Also, I don't like the, like, tiny little, like, bit of, like, bullshit origin stuff. Origin isn't right. Connective tissue. It's fine that she dyes her hair before the end of the movie. Whatever. I don't care. But like the explanation of how she got her stupid jacket is that her sister gave it to her. And that's the jacket she was wearing in Infinity War, as if anyone gave a shit. I don't like that. And it's all just to explain like this is why she has a wardrobe change in that movie.
Now that's over-explaining.
It is. And it's so the fanboys can like look at it and be like, oh my gosh, look at this. And like, I know no one cares, but these people will convince themselves that they care because I've watched it happen. They'll be like, oh my gosh, did you catch that the jacket that her sister gave her is actually the jacket from Infinity War? Can you believe it? They were planning this all along. It's like, no, she just had a different outfit for this because everybody has a different outfit for every movie so that they can make a new action figure. Because even though that these movies aren't for children, they still sell toys. I don't know. And then... I don't know. Her sister is at her grave.
Can I talk about the post-credit sequence?
You can talk about the post-credit sequence.
This is my life during the post-credit sequence. We see her sister walk to the grave, and I was like, are you telling me that Weinstein did actually have a grave next to a tree and knew Natasha's mom was in there? That's stupid. He wouldn't care. And then I was like, well, it's not going to be unknown, because why, like, that's dumb. You're not going to reveal this just being an unknown. And then it was Natasha, and I was like, wait, what? And then I was like, oh yeah, she died, and I guess this is after all of that.
Did she tell her sister about this? Did she tell her sister that Harvey Weinstein told me that my mother was buried with an unknown marker by this type of tree? And then she told the Avengers? Did the Avengers come to her and say, hey, like, how did she, who buried her? Who knew to bury her there? Her sister, I mean, it seems like people know where her grave is because there was a bunch of stuff around it. So I assume people, I don't know.
I like how people, I mean, somebody, I guess it's probably not too hard to know that Natasha died. Like, I don't think the Avengers need to do anything to be like, let's put her grave here because she talked about a tree. I don't think that's on the Avengers. The Avengers...
I'm just wondering who did it.
I don't know, maybe Yelena did.
Again, do the Avengers know about Yelena? Again, maybe they do, but I would assume they don't, or at least didn't communicate enough for her to say, this is where my sister wants to be buried, because I feel like the reveal with...
But why are the Avengers even involved?
Valentina, because they died on her watch. Or she died on their watch. My point is, like, I don't understand why Valentina Allegra de Fontaine shows up and says, hey, do you want intel on the person that killed your sister? And then shows her a picture of Hawkeye as if this is a reveal to her that she did not know that Hawkeye was involved in her death. How Allegra knows this, I have no fucking clue. How the Avengers know where to bury her, or anyone knows where to bury her other than her sister, I have no fucking clue. Because I feel like if her sister buried her, then the Avengers had to contact her and tell her. And I feel like they would have given her some kind of explanation. And I'm pretty sure they probably would have given her the honest explanation.
There's not a body in that grave.
Because she deserves as much. No, there isn't. There's no body in there. But you're right. They can't bury her. Physically burying, you're right. A symbolic grave. If that's what you were getting at, then you're right. A symbolic grave is what that has to be. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, the Avengers have
that's what you were
have nothing to do with this grave. Or they don't need to have anything to do with this grave.
No. I think the Avengers put the marker there. Maybe not.
I mean, they could have, but I don't think there's like as many questions of like...
In the end, I think that nothing in this end bit makes any real sense.
I think Yelena had to have put the marker there.
Probably.
Because it's in Ohio.
I mean, she probably did. Maybe no, but it seems like other people know about it,
which is fair.
My point is someone at some point had to communicate something. I assume Natasha told the Avengers about her family.
That's fair.
And if the Avengers know about her family, I feel like the Avengers would have contacted her sister upon her death. Upon contacting her sister upon her death, I feel like they would have informed her what happened. This reveal with the Clint Barton thing, I think is fucking stupid. I also hate like these, we've said this in Civil War and everything, I hate these misunderstandings where heroes are fighting heroes, which I feel like is probably leading into the Hawkeye show. She's probably going to show up in it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't disagree with you there. I mean, Valentina this might not necessarily be a miscommunication on Avengers to Yelena. This could be a miscommunication on Valentina and like her intel.
But I guess where does she get that intel? I don't think the Avengers are telling anybody what actually happened.
That's what I mean. So like, if she is, doing things on her own and trying to figure out information, she could figure out the wrong information.
But how? How could she get any wrong information involving Hawkeye? If the Avengers aren't speaking about this, there is no one that she could get information that would connect Hawkeye to this. What happened with Black Widow happened in the past, in space, with no witnesses, except for Hawkeye, who's not telling anyone.
I mean,
so it's not like she could bump into someone or like she has spies in S.H.I.E.L.D. or whatever took S.H.I.E.L.D.'s place, S.W.O.R.D., who told her this information because the only people that know are the Avengers, and those Avengers aren't speaking to anybody.
Yeah, but they probably have them on their files or computers. It's a science fiction thing.
You're right. As long as the answer is computers, I can believe anything. I'm a popcorn munching moron. Anyway, point is...
It's stupid.
It's all stupid. Seth, give me 2 put-ups and a put-down.
My first put-up is going to be the family scene. I mean, I guess both family scenes. I liked the scene at the beginning. I think took a little bit to get going, but like once Alexei was just like, we gotta go, and things started ramping up, and I liked that. My second put-up is the other family scene where they all get together again and they're in the house, and you mentioned it briefly where Alexei talks to Yelena and Natasha talks to Milena. Those are good things. My put down is going to be, I am going to say Taskmaster, just because they were a missed opportunity and boring and not at all interesting to me, and facilitated fight scenes that were boring and not at all interesting to me. Close second was the final act of the film, but there were some things in there that worked, but that was also bad.
My first put up is the family scene at the house in the middle of the movie where the movie kind of slows down for a little bit. And specifically, I think the scene between Alexei and Yelena is good, especially because Alexei is still kind of like a shitty, bumbling dad.
He's trying, damn it.
He's trying, and I thought it was endearing. He's not doing a good job, but damn it, he's given an effort. My second put up is I am actually going to say I do like the first fight with Taskmaster on the bridge. I think there's some fun stuff in there. I think mostly it's because I hadn't yet been let down by the rest of the movie, because in hindsight, there's nothing truly great about that fight, but I think it's like the first, in a better movie where the Taskmaster actually does stuff, it's the first like good taste of what Taskmaster is able to do. There's shield throwing, there's using a sword, there's mimicking Natasha's moves. There's a thing where like she uses like a grapple on him and he like flings her back around stuff. I don't know. It's a fun enough like super fight scene. My put down is also going to be Taskmaster for the same reasons you gave. Just a missed opportunity, an interesting character made as uninteresting as possible.
Yes.
And we'll never see her again, so it's not like she could show up later as a more fun character. She'll never be, like all these characters, like the villains are never seen again, so you get one opportunity to do something interesting with them, and then they're gone. Like, I could be wrong. She could show up, or we could
it's going to be like another Batroc thing.
Yeah, or, I mean, you could have, like, Tony Masters show up, and he found the helmet, and he uses it to download things into his brain and pornography. He does sex moves. But like you could have either her show back up as a Taskmaster again, which undoes the tiny bit of like character she has. Not really character, but like she has a, not even arc, but an ending in this movie. But it undoes what little they do with the character. And we could have a true Taskmaster. True is mean to the fact, like, there's nothing necessarily wrong with this Taskmaster other than they're just not interesting. All the changes are fine outside of the fact that they just turn them into a silent nobody. But we could have a Taskmaster that is actually fun show up in something else, but it feels like this was the one shot and they missed, and that's disappointing. My close second is the prison break scene. I hated all of it, but I really hated it at the end when the helicopter's flying around and there's an avalanche and it just it's completely pointless. You could take it entirely out of the movie and it doesn't matter. Especially like you could save some time and have like another fun thing about Alexei kind of lies about stuff because it seems to be implying that he lied about ever meeting Captain America, and it's hard to tell whether that's true or not. Where he could have like broken out of prison and then they pick him up after the fact, and then he tells the story of how he broke out of prison, and it's just like a funny, goofy little thing that they don't have to fucking film and whole action beat where you can just be like, there was an avalanche and I took out 30 guards and I kicked down a door, and they're just like, I bet. And it turns out he probably just like waited for a guard to fall asleep and stole the keys. Anyway, Seth, where did you put this in your total rankings of every Marvel movie yet?
I haven't yet, actually. I forgot about that, but let's say we're going to put it right here. We're going to put it at number 6, below the Avengers. That might be high, but I mean, it's not bad. And I just kind of opened it up and was like, this is where it goes.
So when I did this the first time, I said I put it in my rankings when I first watched it, and then I reserved the right to change it afterwards. I think I had it at 5 before. I dropped it down. I was waffling between 8 and 9. I ultimately put it at 8, below Guardians of the Galaxy and above Captain America, the First Avenger. I think it's a fine movie. It's fun. It's brief. But for as brief as it is, it really overstays its welcome in a couple scenes, particularly, well, really only 2. The prison break and the ending. I feel like the ending goes on forever. And this movie did feel brief.
It is nice
even with that.
It felt a little long to me. It is nice that while there is a lot of like name dropping, it's not really connected to anything.
Yeah, its plot is standalone.
Yeah.
But it is firmly cemented somewhere in the Marvel universe.
But it doesn't like...
Plot-wise,
I don't really
it
feel
is
like it
completely
really
disconnected.
is led in from something. I don't feel like it really leads into something. Granted, I know Hawkeye, the TV show's coming out, and yeah, there's probably going to be stuff with that. But like, it doesn't feel... Like we said with Loki and Falcon and the Winter Soldier and WandaVision and everything, like, it doesn't feel like the point was to set up Hawkeye.
Yeah.
Thanks for hanging out with us. If you like this, tell a friend. If you didn't, then lie to a friend. Check us out on Twitter at SoHowAbout. You can find me on Twitter at SethKumpf. You can find Andrew on Twitter at TessuDownist. And subscribe to us on YouTube at SoHowAbout.
And join us next time when we do this once more with Interference.
Watcher. Boop, boop.
Seth, what are we watching next time?
Well, and
What are we watching next
wouldn't
time?
you like to know? That's why you're asking. We're going to be watching episode 1 of What If, which...
So, sorry,
No,
go ahead.
I don't have anything else to say. I just don't want to have to deal with one of Andrew Meyerhofer's patented. So,
Then you won't have.
no, what's up? What am I misunderstanding? What am I missing here? I'm super pumped. I'm not going to like any of them, but I'm super pumped because I'm interested in them, and they're only like 30 to 37 minutes. I thought they were all going to be like an hour. So,
Nope.
these are going to be rapid fire.